Welcome everyone to the LinkedIn Live session by Talk with Coach Shweta Bajaj on Pro Impact series. Today we are with us exciting guest speaker Dick from India and UK. I can say I'm very excited to know about his journey. He's a startup. He's working, as a entrepreneur. He's working as a mentor. He is also guiding youths nowadays in startup incubator. Thank you, Dick, for joining us on today morning. Thank you for being here on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited for the chat.
Amazing. So, Dick, we would love to know, and everyone who is listening right now today, like we would love to know more about you, what you do from your own words.
Yeah, of course. So I think I would call myself an ecosystem builder, which means I basically connect and grow and build startup ecosystems, predominantly across the Asia Pacific region. So I'm originally from the UK, like you said. I moved to Australia 12 years ago, is where I really started my work in the startup ecosystem, and then helped to really build and scale Australia and connect it with international markets. And then now I work across India. So I'm here sort of half between Australia, half between India. And I'm currently helping to build and connect India to other parts of Asia. So we work on projects. I guess there's two sides of it: projects which are about bilateral innovation trade. So let's just say we're taking, we're building infrastructure to help founders scale from one region to another, or we'll actually do go-to-market strategy for companies, say like a company that wants to land into India. But like you say, as an entrepreneur, I have my own business, but I'm also a mentor for startups. Do some investing, do a lot of speaking. So yeah, there's always a number of different elements to my job, which is exciting.
Yeah, it's when you start a journey or you are guiding startups, it's like a long journey ahead where we are building something which can support society. And it's good to see like you are juggling between different time zones and you are helping different India, China, and lots of APAC. So Dick, we would love to know about you, like when you were in college or you were starting your journey, have you thought like you are like where you are right now? Have you
No,
thought like you will be there?
definitely not. No, I was a lawyer when I went to university. So I did a law exam when I was 19 and I was really good at it. So I was like, oh, I'll study law. That makes sense. I'm good at it. But I guess I always, I was an ideas person. I always struggled to execute on those ideas, but I had entrepreneurial ideas growing up, but I never thought I'd be doing this. Like, I guess from a very young age, I went traveling from when I was very young. So I went to South America for 6 months when I was 18. And that really made me realize that whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to be international. So that was always something that was, I guess, very big driver from a young age. But it took me a long time to find a career that fit kind of my skills and my passion, I guess, for travel.
Yeah, I mean, want to be international. I mean, that kind of spirit, I think now you are working. So today's topic is around storytelling, how a storytelling can help, startup. So, Dick, would love to know from you, like looking back at your entrepreneur journey, when did you first realize that storytelling could significantly influence how a startup, is perceived? Because nowadays, like lots of startups are coming up in an AI age, so have you seen like a shift like coming here?
Yeah, I think storytelling is key to everything that we do as human beings, right? It's something that's been around since the dawn of time. And I think so between my studies as a lawyer and moving to Australia, I started working across numerous different jobs in sales and partnerships and business development. And that is ultimately storytelling, right? Like you tell a story, you get people excited about something, you get them on board. So I think it's so critical um, in how we act as human beings. But I think as business owners and entrepreneurs, it's what gets you the foot in the door, right? It's if you can't like as a founder, you're time poor, resource poor. You have to make sure that you squeeze every last bit of potential good press and good equity that you can get. So I think telling your story is so critical at that very early stage, because you want those early adopters, those early evangelists, those early people to get behind you, whether that's customers, investors, or just mentors. And I think the story is a critical part of that and standing out.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you here. When there are investors, evangelists, and everyone is looking behind you, okay, like you have to do something, you have to tell your story. Some people, especially as you mentioned, when you get into startup, you're just putting into the door. You're putting your step into the door, and you have to squeeze each and every moment of your time, because time is an asset at that point of time is very important. There are some startups, like we have seen, they have their service, they have their product, still they are not visible. Maybe they are working on a very critical problem. They are finding a solution which is required, need of they are for the society or for the country or for the world. So according to you, how storytelling can help them? And yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think it like it. I think it has to be there, right? Like it's how you persuade an investor to invest in you. It's how you persuade a customer to be one of your first, early adopters. If you're working in business to business and have a B2B company, how do you persuade that first customer to come on board? It's through your story, it's through the mission, it's through getting people excited about what you do and being a part of that mission, right? Like that's why it's so critical.
Yeah, it's like amazing point you have picked up here. Persuasion is a skill.
Exactly.
Now there are lots of books as well on this persuasion. Now, see, when we come into the startup, you saw lots of startups, budding entrepreneurs you have talked with. What you noticed exactly, like what unique about them, and any idea, any example you want to share, like from your journey you have met someone and you found, wow, this kind of storytelling, or this is the startup I never thought, okay, this kind of idea can be come into the mind of someone.
Oh, there's so
Yeah.
many. I think like the ones that I find interesting are the people that have just got, I guess, two schools of people. Ones that have got a deep obsession with the problem. So they're like, this problem means everything to me, and I just have to solve it, right? Like I've got a close friend of mine. Um, he's had problems with his brain in terms of its ability, and he's got a diagnosed sort of brain trauma, and he's trying to build something that helps people to rehabilitate that at home using robotics and technology. It's amazing, right? It's a problem that he's experienced and he literally wants to solve, and he's so obsessed with solving it because it's his lived experience, it's his lived problem. And I think the second example is those entrepreneurs that just have idea after idea after idea, and they're just people that are like naturally, they're able to spot um, the way things work and then how they can actually do things, right? Like they look around and they see a problem everywhere and they know how they'd be able to solve it. It's just about whether they can do that. So I think, those are the kind of people I think that really interest me in terms of potential entrepreneurs. I think it's important to note that I talk about this a lot. It's everyone. I think everyone has the potential for it to have an innovation mindset. I think it's like being an athlete. Okay, I think we could all probably run a marathon
Right.
if we really try. Unless you have an obvious injury or an obvious disability, we could all probably run a marathon. Could we all run a marathon at 2 hours? No, because I don't think all our bodies are made for that. I think it's the same thing as an entrepreneur. You have people that are inherently very good at it genetically for whatever reason that looks like. And I think everyone else is able to train themselves to have an innovation mindset if they try. So I think that's what it looks like for me.
Wow, I mean, it's a mind blowing, bulb on moments right now, where, uh, entrepreneurs are of different types. And someone are like they are pre-built, and some are like they made themselves, self-made entrepreneurs. And one point you mentioned, innovation. Based on, according to you, what is innovation? Like when we see innovation now is the age where lots of data, lots of information, even AI is there. Even a small kid in China, I see video like making some app or making some business out of it. Based on, according to you, what is innovation here?
It's the way we grow as a society, and it's the way we evolve, right? It's how we do it. It's how we actually evolve. Like, I'm looking around me now at my desk, and I'm like this pencil is innovation, right? Like this, you know, thousands of years ago we didn't write. They weren't able to. We learned how to write. Then we built utensils to allow us to do that, and now we have this, branded pencil, which probably gets built with machines and pumped out across global markets. That is innovation. It's the way that we take something, a problem that we have or a demand that we have in society, and we create something to fill that demand. And hopefully, the main thing about innovation is that it's making sure that we use it to solve real problems, right? And especially right now in the world of AI, let's make sure as we use this generational technology that's going to change the world, we do it for good, and we do it to solve problems that we have, not create problems.
That's very important point which you have highlighted, because when there is a technology, there is a new thing that can innovate and also it can break. So, make sure that we are using it to build something. Now, as an investor, as a mentor, when you saw startup incubate, startup, budding entrepreneur, uh, what you saw in them, like you already shared, like they are innovative, they are solving problem, which is close to their, self. Like, still there's a process of getting investment from investor, and getting in the eyes of investor or mentor, specifically also startup incubators. So what what is important for the budding entrepreneurs, if someone is listening?
As in, what's important for them to do, or what do you? Because I think there's so many things. What is the like? What do you mean, Shweta? Like what's the most important thing for them, or how do they succeed? Like what?
Both, because they have to understand, if there is a problem they are solving them, okay. Still, if they need to come in the eyes of the investor or mentor or startup incubator, it should be something, it should be a process they need to
Yeah,
follow.
yeah. There is a process. It's start now, fail some more, get used to that failure. Take loads of advice from people around you. Make sure that you look after your sanity as you do this, and keep healthy and keep fit, and don't get too obsessed with building this business or solving this problem. Raise capital if you need to. If not, then don't. I think my biggest advice for entrepreneurs is think about the lifestyle that you want to create when you build a business. Do you want to be a tech founder that's raised venture capital and solves this global problem? If you do, that's great, but it's going to be a lifestyle that you have forever, potentially, right? So, or do you want to have a lifestyle business where you, I don't know, build a consumer product and you sell it and that's it, and you can work 20 hours a week? Then also that's fine, So I think that. Yeah, there's a lot of process to follow, and it depends on different people, but get used to those sort of things.
Yeah, it's like to try, and then you will eventually build a something which is helpful for society. And wonderfully you have here that
100%.
take care of yourself, do not burn out. Now, Dick, like we would love to know more about incubators. When we heard about, some people do not know how the workflow go. I recently saw lots of posts also on APAC, and I want also utter like there in Calcutta also there is one new incubator. Like I saw lots of great posts out there. So we would love to know from you, like what is this, how it can help coming entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so I guess there's two parts to that. So I run a company called the APAC Innovation Hub, and like that's what I was talking about briefly earlier around helping to create incubation centers, helping to create incubation pipelines, and then supporting founders to scale across countries. But the Atoll Incubation Center is a Indian government backed initiative across the country, backed by Niti Aayog, and they have just launched a new incubation center in Kolkata, West Bengal. It's the first one in the state, which is exciting. And It's called AIC Techno. We're also calling it the Bengal Innovation Hub as well, colloquially. And yeah, the idea is the target there is to incubate 500 startups in the next 5 years in Bengal. Hopefully, Bengal's first unicorn, tech unicorn, and then also trying to put the state and the region East India on the innovation map. But in terms of the support, it's right from ideation, so helping to create that innovation mindset we just talked about, right through to taking startups that already exist and helping accelerate them through their journey, right? Help them with getting funding, help them with getting mentorship, help them getting customers and their product to market, and then beyond that, taking that to who knows, beyond the world, taking it across the country, solving real problems. And so that's what incubation centers do. They're the word incubation itself comes from chickens, right? So like you put a chicken, an egg in an incubation. That's what eggs do. They incubate and they grow and they hatch and then they form into chickens. And then that's what we do. And then they have more eggs and then they do the same thing, right? And that's the same thing with startups in a way. So that's where the term comes from. And I think incubation centers do just that, which is they take ideas, they take entrepreneurs, and then they grow and build and scale them.
Yeah, so like wow, I mean, I'm looking forward for what a new, entrepreneurs will be going to do and how this incubation center will be going to help. And idea, the vision behind it is so exciting to see, Eastern India or like even entrepreneurs or someone who is solving a problem on the innovation map of the whole world.
Yeah.
It's a great view, I can say. Now here, how anyone can apply for incubation center, like you are of head of innovation, you are handling like how we can set incubation center. If someone want to apply, so how they can do?
Yeah, I'm not the head of innovation. I run the global partnerships there. But to apply, just jump on the website AIC Techno and then find there's applications open now to be part of some of the early cohorts.
Yeah. So now, Dick, let's come back to the storytelling. Now, when we say story, you also have a story, and I'm excited to know about your story because, like, I think I recently saw your one of the posts in which someone asked, especially girls smiled about the Ganguli, and like that kind. I would love to know more about your story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this a lot at the minute. Every time someone hears my name, people in India are like, "How did you get that name? Like, where did that come from?" But I got married here in Calcutta in January to my wife Pooja, and we always decided from day one we were going to have a joint name. We said, I've got a relationship with my name, and I want to make sure that Pooja still continues to have that as well. So we said, let's call ourselves Currer-Ganguli, and our family said, really? Why? Like, okay, cool, that's different. That doesn't normally happen in India, and it's semi-common in Australia and the UK. People are sort of doing that more and more now, but it's still, a fairly new
Mm-hmm.
concept. And a big part of that for me, there was two big reasons, which was I want it to be a statement, a positive statement for women, young women, especially young women in South Asia, where there's often a stigma attached and there's less, I guess, matriarchy in terms of gender equity and how they're recognized. And so I want it to be that moment where someone goes, "Oh wow, that's incredible that a guy treats his wife as a equal, complete equal." And then similarly, again, I wanted to, as a Western person, sort of be really proud of taking an Indian name. And sort of, I'm a huge advocate for globalization and making sure that we, as a world, we're always collaborating, learning from each other, understanding perspectives. And so for me, having this name is also showing that I'm a Westerner that's really proud to have a new Indian heritage.
I loved it. I mean, when we saw your name and even the inspiration, the vision behind it, because as you mentioned, very less in India and even in UK, this semi half, whether they took it or not. And the way you inspire others, it's incredible. I have seen lots of posts like you also been invited as a guest speaker as well in lots of places. Now, when you saw here, I mean, your story inspire a lot of people. It's touched lots of heart. Uh, how
Thank you.
like how you feel there, Like, wow, my story is touching lots of hearts and like this thing.
Quite emotional actually at times. Like yeah, I was in a school in Andhra Pradesh last week launching a startup, and I sort of said my name, and there was a big round of applause and all that. It was a group of about 50 girls in the class, 13, 14 years old, and I was like, okay, wow, this is seeing real people react, is really awesome. But then I posted, I posted about it online quite a bit on LinkedIn and Instagram, and I get people messaging me the nicest things, saying, "Oh, I feel inspired. I feel hopeful. Put a smile on my face." It's it's beautiful actually. It's my kind of one of my versions of impact work and making sure that I do good things for society.
Wow, it's like a collecting gems. You are collecting gems and blessings from everyone in different ways. So now, Dick, like you have shared your story. Be according to you, like how much story is important for a founder? Like you are a founder, you are an entrepreneur. So it's very very important, or like what need to be done? Like how founders, can utilize their story or should know their story.
There should be a reason as to why the founder's doing it, because ultimately, if you're, I think okay, I'll say to you, I go into nearly every meeting that I have with someone, regardless of if they're a founder or not, if they're a investor, if they're government, a corporate, whatever it is, and I want to know why. I want to know the reason why they're doing something. Okay, because like that dictates everything, really. Like it's like I'll say to someone, what motivates you to do this work? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it a mission? Is it because you like it, because it feels good? Is it you feel like you have to? If you can understand someone's why and what motivates them, you can then sort of tailor how you react and respond to them and what they're doing, and what's going to drive them to succeed, right? I think with a founder, that's more important again, because it's really hard, right? It's really, really, really hard to be a founder and to, to try to raise investment, say, and get 100 no's and then get a yes. You need someone that's going to be really wedded to what they're doing and their why. It doesn't need to be they're trying to save the world. I like it when founders do have a mission and an impact-driven mission. It doesn't need to be that. It can literally be, something as simple as, I want to make my parents proud. Whatever it is, right? It's like if you know that is something that it's really important to them, then you know why they're going to keep going when it gets hard and keep going and keep going. I think the best founders are the one that are able to communicate that why through their story. Well, for me, when I hire a founder, like the example I told you earlier, my friend who has the brain injury, he's going to keep trying to solve that problem for the rest of his life because it's so critical to him.
Right.
You look at that and you think, that's a great founder. I want to support. I want to back. I want to, do everything I can to help. So I think that's, explaining that why and the relationship to the startup or the business, whatever you're building, whatever you're doing. And like, I think this is something that for me, Shweta, is beyond just entrepreneurs and startups. This is everything, right? Like I want to know, and I think a lot of people struggle to answer their why. Like, I'm like, why are you doing this? They're like, I don't know. It's like, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself every day, why do I do what I do? Once you've worked that out, everything else will become 10 times easier.
Amazing. I mean, I'm really flattered to hear from you this thing because this is the real motivator behind it. People copy paste idea or like fame, power, money, like lots of factors. Different people, different factors are there. And the Simon Sinek, like say like know your why, like find your why, the golden circle. You have to know where you belong. Because it's like a pole star, north star, in which you just put your compass and you just go behind whether it works or not.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Like that's how, like, if you're just doing something without knowing why you're doing it, then what are you doing? Like, you're just, yeah, I honestly think it's hard. It's a hard question to ask yourself when you first start doing it. But once you get used to it, it's really not, it's really not.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope, friends, you also heard here, like, know your why. It's the first thing which we need to do to understand our own purpose, inside purpose, and also whatever work we are doing. Thank Thank you so much, Dick, for sharing this point.
Cool.
Now, Dick, we would love to know more on this, like, storytelling in three key factors or three key points you want to share, like on LinkedIn, on social media,
Hmm.
or, even as a keynote speaker. You usually find, okay, yeah, these three key points should be there in anyone's story.
Yeah, like I think I might switch this question up a little bit and I answer how you communicate that story to people, right? Like I think with
Nice.
entrepreneurs, and this is kind of answering the question in my own way, which is I think one of the hardest things is I see from a lot of people when they struggle with their story is they're able to communicate it in one way, but not in every way. So like I think how do you create and one of my biggest compliments I've ever received from someone is it's like I do a lot of LinkedIn, like yourself, right? Like that's a big platform for me. It's where I do a lot of my work. It's where I do a lot of my impact work in terms of storytelling. And I had met someone 2 years ago who I'd been probably quite um, alive on LinkedIn for about 2 years at that point. And I talked to them for about 20 minutes in a startup conference in Sydney. And after 20 minutes talking, they said, Dickie, you know what? You have exactly the same in person as you are online. And I was like, that's maybe the best compliment I've received because online I try to put, we naturally all try to put our best selves in, right? Like that's what social media does. It makes you think, oh, I'm going to do all the highlights. But for a long time, I've kind
Yeah.
of been working on being vulnerable online and being authentic and not just using these as cliche words, but generally trying, And for a long time, I realized that's what we should be. It should be an extension of who you are. And then I meet people sometimes online and I think, I meet people I see on LinkedIn, I think, wow, your content's incredible. And I meet them in person. I'm like, you're nothing like this. You're nothing like this, right? And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like you're very outgoing on the internet and then very quiet or shy or different in all, no opinions at all. And so I think what I'm trying to say is like how you present yourself in numerous different ways is what's I think so important as a storyteller. If you can have that, the internet should be an extension of who you are. Um, and your social media presence should be that, not a completely different character, right? It's maybe a slightly enhanced version of yourself because it's going to be there on the online forever, right? It's your digital footprint. So
Right.
be careful about what you say, but it should be an extension of that. And then I think the other piece I want to talk about here now is how you communicate that story in person, generally speaking. I've got a lot of great founders who, if you make them do a 30-minute pitch about their business, will be great at it. If you ask them for a minute, they're terrible, right? And it's like, so as people, we need to make sure we can do that across multiple channels, online, short form, talking to a technical person who understands your story, talking to a random person. Like, we talk about the concept of telling what you do to your grandma or to a child. Can you describe what you do to an old age pensioner, right? It's like you should be able to craft this story and make it make sense. And then as people who work internationally, how do I tell someone in India or China or Europe or America what I do and who I am? Like, and that for me is the power of that to me is the mastery of storytelling, is being able to actually do it across multiple channels, geographies, verticals, and do it really well.
Wow, I mean, like, storytelling, it's like a culture. You are spreading colors on the canvas. And I love the fact which you mentioned, extension of your own self. It's like because you are putting digital footprint on different platforms. Amazing. And one thing which I loved is, while you are explaining your idea to different people of different culture, whether China, India, or APAC, like wherever, and you should know the culture as well. I mean, the communication is the key, and storytelling, how you explained, how you take to us to this journey is amazing.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dick. Now, I would love to know, like, okay, like we know storytelling, we know key elements of storytelling, like it should be authentic and it should be your extended version. Now, how we can share our story to different cultures? Have you faced any problem, like because while communicating, sometimes because of culture, because of language, you interact with global, cross cultural communities. So, for them, what message you want to give?
Yeah, it's really hard. Like I work across so many countries and different languages and different ways of working, different ways of thinking. Just I think it's about, like, for me, that's what I love doing, right? Like it can be hard sometimes. I walk into a room and
Yeah.
the language is fraught. I've had conversations in China with someone on a translator app for 30 minutes and we're just back and forth translating words and no words are actually being spoken, right? And that's in a business meeting. It's really challenging. I
Yeah.
like the adventure of it, but it's not for everyone. But I think when you come to I think across geographies, it's just the same as it is across ages or kinds of people, right? If you were talking to if you were trying to explain your tech startup to a fellow tech startup person, you're going to talk about the technology and what you're building and how and all these things. If you try to talk to your grandmother about it, you're going to explain it in a very different way. And that's the same thing across cultures. If you're speaking to someone from India and you're an Australian, you have to kind of slightly adjust the way you're speaking, how you're telling the story, how would they would understand it, and it takes time to be a master of it. Like I've been coming to India for 2 years and now do a lot of work here, and there's still moments where I'm like, okay, I can feel that there's a disconnect in the way I'm saying this. I've got to slightly change it. So I think it's different from being able to do it very easily and then to be a master is something completely different. But I noticed the way I say things to Indian people now is very different. Like the language I use, the way I communicate it, the reference points that I have, and that is working across cultures, But I think the beauty of it is it goes both ways. Working across cultures changes your perspective as well on something, and it makes you a better storyteller because it gives you more inputs and more variables. And I know that the more time I spend overseas in different countries, the better I get at everything I do.
Wow. I mean, I love the fact when you mention, lots of, you have some things you put into your mind because you are working with cross-cultural people, communication, storytelling. It's improving day by day. The references you are using. And yes, friends, I think that's the adventure, that's the kick of it. When we walk in this entrepreneurial journey, it bring up a lot of new things. We learn every day. We learn in every day, every minute, something from someone. So, Dick, anything you have learned from your life or any mentor you admire, uh, would you like to share with all of us? Like any book or any mentor love wordings you remember? Like, yeah, this is I touched my heart and I learned.
Oh my God, there's like so many things. I'm kind of
Yeah,
different to most people. I don't like read a lot of nonfiction books or like feel like things. Like I like fiction stuff, and like in terms of like mentors, I watch people and watch how they work. A lot more. I think like that's kind of like how I like to be pushed into like seeing the way different people do different things rather than say like you mentioned Simon Sinek. Like I watch a little bit of that sort of stuff, but like it's like I find it inspirational, but I don't seek it. I don't
yeah,
look for
exactly.
it. And like me and my wife were talking
Right.
last night, and like I hardly read nonfiction books um about entrepreneurship or about things because like I take so much joy in like I guess like trying to find a more holistic version of myself across different platforms and different mediums. In terms of mentors, like I've had some incredible mentors and some incredible advice from people, and I think I'd recommend any entrepreneurs listening to go and find stories of people that have failed in what they've done. I think that's some of the biggest learnings that I've had, and some of the biggest like lessons that I've learned is when I've watched someone on stage who has made it. They've got this $1 billion company, and they're like, "Yeah, I did this terribly." Like, actually, I've got a great example of this. I was blessed 4 years ago, very early in my entrepreneurial career. I went to a great event in Adelaide, in South Australia, called South Start. My favorite event. I mention it on nearly every podcast that I do. It's basically like 3 days down in South Australia in the hills, drinking wine. It's like incredible. It's like it's a conference, but it's not. It's like a festival for innovators and entrepreneurs, right? I go there every March. The first year I went there, the opening keynote session was from a guy called Mark Randolph, who was one of the co-founders of Netflix. And like, it was amazing to see someone of that level. And he talked about how many businesses he started that failed before he founded Netflix. It is insane. He used to get picked up by the other co-founder of Netflix. I forgot his name now, but he used to get picked up in a car with him, and they drive an hour to go to their office. They worked in IT in California at the time, in the Silicon Valley, and they have an hour commute to the office every day. In that hour, he just pitched idea after idea after idea, and like, he's like, so many of them were so bad, like they were so bad. And then when they first started doing Netflix, they failed, and then they got Blockbuster offered them to buy them for $50 million, and they said no. And then it was this huge, big story. It's an incredible founder story. If you don't know the side of Netflix, like, Google it. You can find articles about it. But hearing people like that, and understanding the success is not just given, right? It just doesn't happen. It's not an overnight success. It's something that takes incredible amount of hard work, resilience, coming up with different ideas, keep going, being agile, dynamic. Like, I think those things for me are the things I enjoy the most when I listen to them or read them or see them in person.
I loved it. When you listen from the founder, like from Netflix in person, you're listening to failures. Oh my God, yeah, it's okay if they have a big failures. I also have failures. I also grow in one time. So it's a really incredible story which you have shared from your life. Thank you so much for sharing your that part of life with all of us. And it's interesting. Yes, friends, I think this is the takeaway which we can take, that learn from failures of the stories. Now, any failure you have seen, Dick, in your life or in your entrepreneur journey,
Oh my God.
you found, okay, I can learn from it.
I've done so many, like, honestly, like, I think that it happens every day. It's like we try different things all the time, and
Yeah.
they don't always work. Like, I've launched products and then been like, this is going to be great, and then it's just like, just can't find a market for it, but it's like, that's the joy of it. And the more you get used to the fact that that's the journey, like, it's the old cliche is, it's about the journey, not the destination. I think entrepreneurship is like just like that as well. It's the same thing with travel as it is with if you go and, like, often you find you're going to a place. I was just in Kazakhstan, and we took a 18-hour train across the desert there to go to a different city. And the city I got to was great, but then the memorable part was the train trip, right? And I think it's the same thing with entrepreneurship and life in general, which is, what are you learning on the way? What are you doing? What are you enjoying? And so those failures are just experiences. That's all they are. It's the quicker you see them as that, the better and more successful you'll be as a human. And I think for me, like, the people say, what is the pursuit of happiness? I think happiness is, how do you elevate the wins? So when you have a success, make sure you celebrate it, because the hardest part of being an entrepreneur is you'll win and then you're just like, next. It's either because you're busy or because you want more and you want more. But spend time to be present in the wins. And then the other part of being happy is to mitigate the losses. So if you can take a big loss, a big failure, whatever it looks like, and you just make that small, it's okay. It's part of the journey. Move on. But you still make sure you celebrate those wins. I think that is what happiness is in life.
Yeah, I mean, happiness, it's like we need to find happiness, or it's like we have to be happy inside while being in this process. It's not about destination, it's about the process, how we are evolving, like a phoenix. We evolve from the ashes, again ashes, then evolve from the ashes. So
That's
it's
it.
like that. Really,
That's it.
yeah.
Honestly, I think it is. That's the joy of life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tick. So, like, Tick, if someone if someone asks you, okay, I want to make a movie on your life. So, what title you want to give, and what scenes you want to bring into that movie? It's
Oh,
interesting. It's a slight different, but yeah.
I love this question. I'd love to. I mean, I thought you were going to ask me who would play me. I'm like, well, I don't know. Who would you like?
Yes.
People used to say I used to look like Leonardo DiCaprio when I was younger, but now I get like Jude Law as well sometimes from people. Maybe it's the hairline, but I don't know who I'd ask to play me. But in terms of a name, I just had I was on a podcast yesterday and someone had an idea for a podcast we should launch, and we thought the name was pretty cool. So my film could be called this, which is Ventures and Adventures. I thought that
I loved it. I really
was
loved
pretty,
it. This name is
that's a
great.
pretty cool name. I think
Yeah.
that's or like I did have so here's the one failure. I tried to launch a newsletter which was about global startup stories, and I could never quite find the right format for it. And it was called a startup vagabond. And vagabond is like a traveler that kind of wanders around the world. And so maybe I'd call it
Yeah.
that. And yeah, it's literally about this. It's about the journey, like the human journey, of what it means to be human, but also what it means to be someone that's an innovator, a thinker, someone that's trying to change the world for the better. I think that's the thing, but the focus is really on that journey. I've also thought of another one. I'm currently writing a book, so maybe this could be like a book. What do you call it? Adaptation, a novel adaptation to a film. And the current working title of the book is Becoming the Jamai of India, which is about my journey to being a son-in-law here in India and experiencing everything that I experienced. So maybe I can do that as well.
I would love to watch that movie and read your book.
It'd be like
Absolutely.
Shantaram
I mean,
if you've read like it'd probably end up like that, but yeah, we'll see.
so interesting. I mean, I'm really flattered to know like this kind of, and I love the name which you shared. This is the name where, like it's like, okay, I need to read, I need to watch this movie and experience again and again. I personally believe when you are living a life or you are doing something, it's like you should make like that you relive it again. For example, if God give you opportunity to relive your life, you say, why not? Yes, let's take this adventure again.
Love that idea,
Like
definitely.
that.
I agree, 100%.
Okay. Yeah. So, Dick, so we have very little time. Still, I want to squeeze everything, every lesson of your life. It's not possible still to learn from you. Maybe we will have more episodes and connect again. So, I would love to know, and everyone want to know, like for an upcoming entrepreneurs, what lesson you want to give, what lessons you want to share with them.
Beyond what I've already said, I think start now. I think if you're someone that sits there and goes at home like I want to be an entrepreneur, I would say just start playing around with ideas and start understanding what it means to build a business. Like I'm talking about like supply and demand and getting customers and those sort of things. Like I think and if you're someone that's like I'd like to be an entrepreneur but I have no idea where to start in the business world. I didn't start my first business till I was 35, but before that I'd already kind of built businesses within corporates, so I was like an entrepreneur before that. And what I realized I was doing was I worked across multiple sectors, and every time I was working I started to understand a business model. Oh, okay, that's how that makes money, or that's how we market that, or that's how we that gets built. And so I worked across big companies, small companies, numerous different verticals and industries. So I'd say if you're someone that like thinks I'd love to be an entrepreneur one day, I don't know where to start, just start doing that. Be curious. Go in and be curious about how things work and how businesses work. And it doesn't have to be a business you work in. It could literally be just you talk to your friends and family or research a company and sort of try to understand, like a Netflix, for an example. You're sitting at home and you think, how does Netflix work? Like, how does it make money? Like, what is the model? Is subscription, but what does that mean? How do they then market? How do they spend the money they make into growth? If you start to understand things like that, eventually you'll find an idea and then boom, you're an entrepreneur, right? Like, so I'd say start with just being curious about business.
Yes, thank you so much, Dick, for being here and sharing with us so much valuable insights. I mean, this is the gem session, I can say, where if anyone can listen this whole, and I highly recommend if you can share with your friends and colleagues and budding entrepreneurs. Yes, there is one question from our viewer. He is a tech startup. He just started his AI product. He also, like, his team also trademarked, registered a trademark and everything. Now just getting into the business, and the problem they are solving is in marketing. Using AI, they want to solve the marketing problem.
Mm.
Yeah, what advice you want to give? They want to know like how they can grow and in the startup journey.
Okay, look at like, I mean, I guess we might not know, but if they have customers already, um, I'd say try to go as deep as possible in understanding why the customer is using their product. Uh, so
Mm.
I think like it's hard to in the AI world, if you're building an AI native company, like it's quite hard to stand out. So if you've got a customer, try to get every single piece of information out a customer. Why they're using your product? Is it because it's better? Is it cheaper? Is it, did they just find it randomly? If you can find the kernel of that and that customer journey, then that is critical to multiplying that by 100, right? If you understand that one customer, why they chose them, then you can take that enormously. So I say that to anyone that has a B2B business, that is my advice. Use those customers as early customers are absolute gold dust. I think to you, and I think in the AI world with an AI company, how do you build trust? Yeah, I think trust is our finite resource now as human beings, because there's so much. Anyone can create content now. Anyone can be an expert because of AI and because of the internet. So find a way for you to build trust with your customers, and then I think you will have enormous success.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dick. I hope you get your answer. And yes, next question is from our viewer. Like, he is struggling in customer acquisition, and as you mentioned, demand and supply, and working capital to maintain working capital for their startup. So, what they can do?
So they
They have good product. Yeah.
they're struggling for working capital. Sorry, you said.
Yeah, I mean they have very little working capital, and they're a startup, by their own, funded by their own,
Mm.
and still they are not able to acquire customer base.
So if you have, if you're looking at raising capital, I'd say to people, and this is a general answer, is if you're looking at you need more money, only raise capital when you've got too many customers that you can't service them. That's the point when you start looking at raising capital. Okay, if you're a company that's
Yeah.
not quite there yet and you're struggling to have that working capital, you need to look about your business structure. Is it, do the commercials stack up? Like commercially, do you have a commercially sound business model? Because if not, then that's something that you need to change. If you don't have the customer base yet, maybe it's a product problem. Maybe you have to think about your lifestyle and whether you need to think about, going and doing some contract work or whatever that looks like to help raise money for the business. But I think, it's all about working out your business's commercial model and putting together a sound business strategy. I think is critical. Is critical in that stage.
Mhm. Yeah, I hope, friend, you will get the answer. Like, yes, it's like you need to figure out how you develop your customer base, customer acquisition. And as Dick says, it's a gold thing. Gold, it's a dust which you need to figure out by contract work, or understand how your product actually serve. What's your why? Yes. So another question, Dick, is like, there is a Silicon Valley question, like you mentioned, so now India, like how you see the growth in India around this Silicon Valley and upcoming entrepreneurs.
I think the growth in India is amazing. Like there's such a hunger here. The Indian economy is, I think it's stagnated slightly, but it's still growing really strong comparative to the rest of the world. I think the people here, there's a lot of problems to solve, and I think there's amazing talent in India. So I think there's a great potential pathway from India to Silicon Valley. But I'm pretty excited about the East, to be honest. Like I work in the Asia Pacific because I think the East is the future. In terms of we have 5 billion people in Asia, right? So like that's like 2/3 of the world's population is here.
Right.
There's an enormous emerging economy across certain parts of the region. India's already there, right? There's a lot of problems to solve, but there's a lot of great people to do it. So yes, people in the startup world get excited about Silicon Valley, but I'm excited about India. That's what excites me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dick, for being here with us. I think it's a really valuable session and a lots of insights you have shared with all of us. Yes. Thank you everyone for being here with us and listening the whole show. Please share with your upcoming entrepreneurs, also the entrepreneurs who are in the journey so that they can learn from this episode. Yes, Dick. Thank you so much for being here. Any last words you want to share?
No, thank you. Honestly, it's been great. Lovely to chat. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day ahead, friends. Thank you, Dick.